Welcome back to Unraveling the Knots, the podcast where we explore identity, intention, and all the in-between moments that make us who we are. I'm your host, Ganiat Salami, project manager by day, beautypreneur every other moment. And this is our little corner of the internet where we get to pause, reflect, and unravel. Today, we are diving into the second installment of a segment that's quickly becoming close to my heart. What's hair got to do with it? Because for many women, especially Black women, hair isn't just hair. It's history, it's memory, it's politics, expression, resistance, softness, freedom. The way we wear it, care for it, fight with it, love it, all of it tells a story. And we're here to listen. We kicked off this segment by asking questions that often go unasked. What's your earliest memory of your hair? Who was there? What messages did you grow up receiving? Spoken or unspoken? And the responses have been so touching. So today, we continue. I'm joined by someone I have admired for a while. A powerhouse in event planning. A woman who makes elegance look effortless. And someone who's been rocking her natural hair proudly for years. And I have to say this babe is my friend. You can hear the passion in our friend. She's my friend. Shile Bello, lead event planner at RAE Affairs. Shile, welcome to Unraveling the Knots. It is amazing to have you here.
Wow, what an introduction. Well, thank you so much for having me on. I love just listening to you talk about the intro, and I just feel like I'm in such a zen mode right now. So you can ask me anything and I'll answer, but it's such a pleasure to be here. I'm super excited. I get all the prompts about the podcast when there's a new episode. So to actually be on the hot seat, it's exciting. So thank you so much.
And I'm so happy and grateful that you decided to grace us with your majestic presence. Oshegun, that means thank you.
Extra.
So, Shile, can you introduce yourself further? I feel like you need to just let people know you and your amazingness. We want to know more about you. Me, I know, but let people know more about you. Please introduce yourself further.
Okay, I'm not really sure. Whenever people tell me to introduce myself, it's such a weird thing because I'm like, what am I supposed to say? My name is Shile Bello, and it's actually I'm Nigerian, and so my full name is Omoshiliola. You know, there's a meaning to it, Omoshiliola, and it means open the house of wealth. My parents pretty much bought a house right when I was born, didn't have a name for me, so that's the name I got. So all the things I already said, Ganiet, you can tell we're friends because we have a different name. We call each other. But all the things she shared, I'm a founder of an event planning company. I also do strategy operations for a nonprofit. I have a lot of other, different other interests and different things that, working on and continue to work on. I'm a mother of two amazing, I call them delightful kids. I have a girl and I have a boy. My daughter is 10, and she actually has the most, she has this full, amazing natural hair, which I guess we'll talk about at some point, maybe if we get there. But it was also part of the decision of what made me go natural. I have a husband, and he's amazing. We've been together. Interestingly, we've actually been dating. I was talking to someone, I was like, I've known him 18 years. We've been married 13. And we've been dating, we've been dating for 18 years, I think 17 or 18 years. So anyways, obviously I've been with him a very long time.
Shout out to Mr. Bello. He's an amazing husband.
It's an amazing Mr. Bello. But yeah, so that's a little bit about me. And as she said, I've been natural, since that's the focus of why we're here, to talk about hair and all those things. I have been natural now. I think since like 2016, I think is when I made the decision. Yes, 2016 for sure.
Almost 10 years.
Yes, yes. And I definitely, I'm not looking back. Like this is it. This is it for me.
Yes.
I love being natural. I was actually just having a conversation with someone recently because sometimes I do these protective styles, but I was saying that actually I want to give myself a challenge and maybe not do protective styles for like a couple of months and actually just like figure out ways to like love on my hair, especially from the point of view of, I feel like a lot of times I have like two go-to styles once I, have my natural hair out, but I've been looking at a lot of pictures and seeing some amazing things that people do with hair. So I'm like,
what are your go-to styles actually?
Just pack it back, and then twist outs. I also, do a lot of twist outs. I know people say don't manipulate your hair so much, but you have to just figure it out sometimes. So, but yeah, so that's a little bit about me, a very long-winded introduction of myself, but yeah, that's it.
Okay. Thank you for the intro, Madam Shiliola. Now, we're going to move on to my first question. Should I say second? Yeah, my second question. So let's start with the roots and pun fully intended. What's your earliest memory of your hair?
Earliest memory of my hair. I mean, I think that's a really good question because, we all have those moments when we first realize something. I mean, we're both, women. So, there's a moment when you first realize like, oh, wait, I got breasts. Like, oh, what's this? You might have had it for a while, but it's like something happens like, and you're like, oh, wait, this thing is here or that thing is there. And I think if I had to think back of like the first time, like I even just obviously I've always had hair, but like had a relationship with it, or I think it's having to be forced to go make our hair. My mom had 4 girls. And so just like going to the salon and having to sit for hours because there are 4 of us and having to like get our hair permed. I actually do not ever remember a time my hair was natural, like never. They probably permed my hair from when I was like out of the womb or something because I don't actually remember. And I do have a picture of myself, I think when I was like 5 and my hair was permed. So my hair had to have been permed like very early on. So the concept of hair being natural, I actually didn't know that there was such a thing as natural hair because my hair was always permed. So even going to high school, because I went to a boarding school in Nigeria, I recognized that some people had like thicker hair, but it didn't occur to me that people didn't like put like relaxers on their hair. I thought it was like just a regular thing that everybody did because that's like normal. To be honest, I think it was when I moved to America when I was 15 that just like the rise of natural hair, then it made me be like, oh wait, everybody doesn't put this stuff in their hair and it's actually not commonplace. So I'll say my first memory of hair was just this thing that you had to go do in a salon and you had to perm your hair. So I remember always sitting and hating that process because my scalp always got burnt. And I also thought that it was normal for like, if your scalp is not burnt, then the relaxer didn't take. So even till my teenage years, I'm like, it's a normal thing. You have a burn, you wait for it to like kind of, scrape up and all of that. So those are my early memories of hair.
My goodness. Wow. That's fascinating. I think for me, I did know that people had natural hair. I had natural hair growing up as a kid. My mom was bent on making sure that we kept our hair natural until like we were in high school. And she stuck to that. But she was more flexible in that when we would come back home during holidays from boarding school, she'd let us perm it. And then when we're going back, we'll cut a lot off and, you have your short hair. But it's interesting for you that you actually felt like permed hair was the norm.
No, like there was no other option. It was permed or whatever you got. And then because in boarding school, remember, I mean, I don't know if you went to a boarding school, but you had to actually have your hair braided, right? Yeah. And so it was also it wasn't obvious that people had different textures because like your hair is braided down, you had to have it braided down. And then they would have braiders come like maybe once a month. And so people would just take out their hair, wash it and braid it. So I never even realized that because, of course, you're in boarding school for 9 months out of the year. So when you're there before like the breaks, you're there for like 2-month stretches or 3-month stretches. So it didn't even occur to me that because we weren't allowed to perm your hair in school. That was not allowed in my boarding school. So you couldn't put put a perm. Like it was like if you were
It was
caught with
contraband.
yes, it was you were disciplined. Like, and then oh my gosh, I have to tell you this horror story. Can I tell it? Horror story about it. So back in high school, I remember I was so scarred by this. Relaxers were like contraband, like you could not do it. So someone brought it and they were perming their hair because again, maybe the person had really thick hair and they just felt it was more manageable to have it permed before the braider does it. Yeah. They got caught.
Oh shit.
You know, headmistress, all that, they got caught. You know what they made them do, which is like cruel punishment? They made her stay with that relaxer on, go kneel under the sun.
What?
So, I promise you, this thing scarred me. I said, look, I am never bringing a relaxer to school. Kneel down under the sun it was over an hour. That was her punishment. Can you imagine?
That's just straight out evil.
Yes, because I mean, you know how it is. Like when that thing is burning, she was crying and begging and all of that. And they finally let her go. Obviously, you know, rinse the hair off. But it was terrible. Even thinking about it right now, I'm just like, I can't. So I think even the fact that most people's hair was down braided, I actually didn't realize that. You know, I just remember my hair being like thicker, like as we, you know, like when we're 2 months into school, but I didn't even think that, oh, my hair is returning back to its natural state. I just thought, you know, it was doing what it did and they braided it down and that's that. So yeah, natural hair was not something I even really recognized, like, oh, this person's hair is natural and this person's hair is not. I just thought some people had thicker hair, but we all permed it.
That's very interesting. Hey. Okay.
The colonizers.
Oh, right? Oh, but we thank God our eyes are beginning to open more. My next question for you is, can you remember a moment, maybe a defining one, where you decided, this is it, I'm going to embrace my natural hair? What actually sparked that decision?
So my sister, my older sister, she went natural first. And you know how it is, the firstborn does something and everybody wants to do it. I mean, I made fun of her more than anybody else. Like she reminds me, like we all were just like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Because she did the big cut. Chop. Yes. She, at some point, she's like, you know what, she's going to do the chop. She did her chop and her hair was just short. I'm like, girl, like you out here looking crazy. You know, I used to just make fun of her, but she has the most beautiful natural hair. Like her hair is like super long. She, you know, she has like a natural hair brand and all of that stuff. So she was really like particular about her hair and obviously seeing the progression. But then I had a daughter. 2015, I birthed my first child and the Lord decided to bless me with a girl and she had hair. Right out the womb. I mean, not like big hair, but she had hair. And I just remember asking myself, as she starts to grow and become more aware, if she asked me like, oh, mommy, how come my hair is different? What would be my response? And I just was like, that I would say was my biggest motivation, just wanting her to feel like, I didn't know what her hair texture was going to be. I didn't know if it was going to be thick and very like what we would say like, oh, hard to manage and all of that. So I was like, I don't know what it's going to be, but if she ever has a point where she's like, oh, I don't like my hair and I'm out here perming my hair every 5 minutes, what am I going to be able to tell her? Like, you know, so I think that was the biggest point for me where I said, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to try. Looking back now, she's 10. I'm so glad I did. I am so glad I did it because my daughter's very inquisitive. Everybody says she looks just like me, even though I can't really see it.
Oh, she does.
Everyone says she's the splitting image
like
of
Shile 2.0.
Yeah, but you know, the funny thing is I can't see it and she can't see it either. So when people tell her that, she's like, stop saying that. She's like, I don't look like her. I'm just like, at some point I was like, girl, you're saying this a little too confident. Like, do you not like the way I look? But even now, like there are times where if I braid my hair, she says she wants to braid her hair. You know, she'd be like, oh, mommy, maybe the next time I do my hair, I'm going to do your style. You know, she would tell me how much she loves my hair. And, you know, so even there are times where I want to convince her to do a particular style. I'm like, oh, you remember when I did this? Or you remember my hair is also like, because sometimes she'd be like, oh, my hair is just so much and it's too. I'm like, yeah, but you know, my hair is like that too. Yeah. So I'm so grateful that I took that step then because I can relate with her and she can see that it's not all talk. She could see that, okay, this is normal. And she knows, I mean, I'm not saying I'm never going to let her perm her hair if she decides to make that choice as an adult. Yeah. But until then, I think I want her to love her hair. I want her to feel confident in it. And I'm so glad I did. Like, I think as a young Black girl, there's something so important about having role models and having people that look like you and seeing that it's okay. So yeah.
Wow, that's truly beautiful. I mean, your daughter is so lucky to have you. I think as parents, a lot of parents try their best. I'm not a parent, by the way. I think a lot of parents try their best to...
Oh, you're an amazing aunt.
Thank you. Aunt. I know, right? God bless you. See why I love Shile. You know, as parents, a lot of parents try their best to be the best for their kids. And some of us struggle with how exactly to show up and be our best. And sometimes I think I'm just realizing it's those little things, letting your kids know that what they're going through, you're also going through it, right? Journeying through life together, being able to have those shared experiences is such a beautiful thing. So I commend you for that, my dear. My next question. How does wearing your natural hair affect how you see yourself today?
That's a really good question. I think once I decided I was going to go natural, I'm an all or nothing kind of girl. Like, we're either going to dive in the pool or we're not. And I said to myself, what's the worst that can happen? If I don't like it, then I can figure something else out. But from the minute I made the decision, I knew. Interestingly, my plan was to transition. I was like, okay, I can't be out here. I have a big head. Like, y'all can't see it, but I do. So I said, I can't.
We're in that boat together.
She's lying. She is lying. She has this cute small head. She can rock.
No, my head is big. See that beautiful forehead. See how sculpted that big forehead.
Her head is small. I'm sure you guys have seen the photo, but I just was like, I can't be out here in a low cut. Like, it's just not gonna work out for me. So I remember thinking I was gonna transition, and of course I was doing that. I have photos of like my first. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going natural. I was there posting on Instagram, like, okay guys, I'm going natural. And then I'm transitioning. I'm like, okay, cool. But then it became so hard to manage, like the portions that have transition and then the edges or whatever y'all call it. The roots.
To be honest, I don't even know much. I know that like there's these points where you have like the
natural hair
portion and then the natural hair.
So the edges were like tangling. So one day I just went into a hair cuttery. I sat on a chair of a lady who probably this lady had never touched hair in her life, because let me tell you, this lady cut my hair, and then I just told her cut it low, just cut it low enough that if I needed to braid, I could braid. And she put some like funny American products in my hair, and then I just be transitioning sometimes. And then this lady said I should walk out like that. If I show you the picture, if Guinea had the ability for you to see a photo, and I'm just like, you want me to walk out like this? Like she just put some mess in my hair, and I should have known that she was not the seat I should go to, because everybody else was kind of looking like, oh, she's going to sit on that lady. When everybody's like, they all know something that I don't know, and all this stuff kind of tell me with the winks, but I was just like, I don't care, I'm just going to sit there. But
one chance.
I entered it one chance. So I remember leaving there, and I just went home, put a scarf on my hair, whatever. But
was your hair braidable though?
It was braidable. It was braidable. Okay. Yes, I didn't let her cut it.
She go on there, right?
I've never been, I was excited to embrace it. It was kind of like a new, exciting journey. I just was like, oh my gosh, whatever it's going to take, let it take. But then after that, I was in braids, like, braids every other, like I didn't let my hair out until I felt like it had grown a little. And then I started, having it out. And I just think it's just, I just wasn't confident to rock it without that. But the interesting story though, I'm going to sidetrack and then answer this. I actually one time after having my daughter, I grew a lot of hair, and then I took out braids. And then I decided to, this was when I was still taking that creamy crack on my hair. By creamy crack, I do mean perm, okay, relaxer. That's what I'm talking about. Let's not get this confused. But my whole hair tangled in the shower. Like I took out braids and I didn't brush it out. So it tangled in the shower. After like 30 minutes of trying to tangle, I said, forget it. I took a scissors, I cut my hair down. So I did a pixie. But the pixie was actually cute. But I knew with natural hair, I couldn't have a pixie because it wasn't gonna translate. So, and because I was such a new natural, I didn't want to be putting like heat and all that stuff. I really wanted to like let it have its time and grow the way it was supposed to. So for the first months, and not few, probably for like a year, I was just doing a braid routine. I didn't do wigs. God bless everyone who can do a wig. I tried it once. I literally went back to the wig person. I said, take your wig. I don't want it.
What was your experience? So I don't.
My head was hurting. I mean, some people do it and they love it. People told me, oh, maybe it's the wig I tried, but I said, mm-mm. I'm just like, my scalp was hurting the whole day. I said, it's not worth it. The beauty of this wig and my head hit, like, mm-mm. So I was braiding. Let's just put it that way. I was braiding the whole time. And after that, I just started, just looking up stuff online, just seeing how I could, manage the hair. I do a lot of like, when my hair is out, I do a lot of, I just pack it back. I do a lot of twist outs as well. I know that people say don't manipulate your hair too much, but I couldn't help it. Twist outs are so cute. So I do a lot of those. So I don't think it has impacted me negatively in terms of how I show up. One thing I do love about natural hair, I tell people, the versatility is wild.
It is.
When you perm your hair, you can only do but 2 or 3 things. Like, I mean, what are you going to do? You wrap it and all of that. But with natural hair, the versatility, like sometimes I go to sleep and I wake up and my hair is like wild with my natural hair. All I have to do is just like a little spray with water. If it's really, really crazy, I just like dip it in water while I'm taking a shower, brush it out. And I'm just like, for me, I think my experience with natural hair is like, why haven't I done this earlier? Yeah. Like, why? It's so versatile. So it doesn't.
As you said, colonization is what put us.
Yeah. So it didn't affect how I showed up. I mean, I think maybe in the initial stage was I like a little bit like, oh, I wonder what people will think. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, please, I don't really care what you think. All I care about is what I think. So if I like it, then there's nothing wrong with it. I think it took, of course, it takes getting used to, but I think because I was so excited about the journey and what I also had seen people like say that it takes time. My biggest, interestingly, one reason I didn't want to go natural was because a lot of what I saw people did with natural hair, like people that had like really long, luscious ones, they had talked about having to do like all the kinds of mixes, honey and this and that and mixing this. And so for me, I was just like, I don't like stress. Like, if I want to, the point of me going and having this hair permed every 6 weeks is because I need something manageable. So if you're telling me I have to do all these routines, that was a huge turnoff for me. But one thing that helped was people convincing me like, aside from wanting to do it for my daughter, but now it's like, okay, I want to do this for my daughter, but I'm also scared about taking that leap. Just being encouraged that there has been so many more advances in natural hair products since like way back then, where maybe things weren't as accessible. So you had to figure it out.
And even education, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. And more education, so it was just people telling me like, you don't have to do all those 10, 15 different steps. Like there's ways you can.
Who even came up? All these DIY warriors, who gave them all that?
And then you'll be watching YouTube and you're even exhausted from watching the video. Like, I don't even know what to do. So that, I think I've always just been, my excitement for it made me not feel cautious about showing up with it. Yeah. And I think I was just excited about trying new things out and being patient with my hair, that it will eventually become all that I want it to be. And quite honestly, I had to give up that illusion as well. Yes, granted, my hair grew well, but also there is a place of like, and which I think is just human condition, like human nature. Like you are like, oh, I want my natural hair to look like this person's. I want it to look like that person's. And so even when our natural hair is giving us the reality of this is who I am, and this is what you're going to have to love and embrace, you're starting to like want it to be, how come it's not getting the length? How come it's not as vivacious? Forgetting that there's so many different textures and, people have different, mixes in their, in terms of like they're mixed with different things. So that's why theirs looks super
genes, right? Like their own biological makeup.
Yeah. So I think that's also a huge thing in like not wanting, as people, as you're embracing, for whoever's listening to this, whether you are someone who is already natural or you just really love the sound of Ganiette's voice and you're not natural, but you're listening to this, don't desire for your natural hair to be like somebody else's. Let your hair, figure out what your hair is. I don't even know what C I am, to be quite honest. I don't know. People ask me all the time. I say, I don't know what I am. My hair is natural and it is what it is. But learn to love the hair that you've been given and the hair that's growing out of your head, and find a way to love it as opposed to wanting it to be like somebody else's. So that's...
Thank you for that inspiration. Yes, that's major hair wisdom. Not just hair wisdom, but also major self-love and acceptance wisdom. I think it's okay for us to see the world and see all the different beauties that God has created, people's hair and whatnot. There's nothing wrong with that. I think it's important for us to learn to just accept what we have, admire it. There's a reason why this person has this type of hair. Great for them. You too, you have your hair. Rather than being fixated, right, as Shile said, on what another person has, how can you actually help make your hair the best version of your own hair? Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks, Shile. So then, my next question for you. In your line of work, aesthetics and presentation is everything. Has your natural hair ever been questioned, celebrated, or politicized?
That's a really good question. So I own an event planning company that I've owned for many years now, and I have a team now that does more of the events. So I don't necessarily show up at the events as I used to. So that on that hand, that's giving some context to the response I'm going to give. I haven't physically, shown up at most of the events for the last couple of years, but my team still does. I think that through the years, though, I have not. Am I a bit more aware, like if we're being honest, right? Like am I a bit more aware maybe when I'm meeting with a certain vendor or I'm going for a certain type of events? Because, we do all kinds of events. We've done events with people from different ethnicities, 100% Caucasian weddings, mixed weddings, Indian weddings, Pakistan weddings, Asian weddings. So we've done like a full spectrum, right? And lots of African weddings as well, Nigerian and other African countries. And so am I a bit more aware, like, in the initial stage, like, I want to show up in the best way. And best way does not mean like, I guess maybe on one hand, I'm not like, let me go make sure I have a weave in so that, because I'm showing up for this. Like, no, like you're going to get what you get. Okay. Because you're going to get what you get. But I think the pressure is just maybe not pressure, but I am more aware to like in the initial stages, I want to show up looking put together because again, I also understand that, for some of these people, when they decided to use our services, especially back then, before we used a lot of Zoom and things like that, it was just a phone call, right? They went off of like the person they spoke to, they enjoyed speaking to them. They weren't like, this person is Black, or this person is, this person is white, or this person, they weren't looking at color, right? So they were choosing based on who. So sometimes I'm like, I wonder if this person knew that I was, a Black person. So every time I show up for a first meeting, I want to show up in the best way. And especially I'm representing my natural hair. Let's be clear. Okay. So my natural hair better be looking good, So I'm going to show up with natural hair, which I did for most of the time. I want to show up put together. The same way I want to look like presentable in my clothing, I also want to, look like have my hair look good, have my hair look professional. I've shown up with twists before, so I don't think that there is like I think just looking professional and looking put together all together matters. So even if I showed up with like a really nice, like sleek back, natural hair look, but then I'm looking raggedy in my clothing, it's still like there's an impression. So I think I want to show up looking good all together. But whether I'm rocking my natural hair or not doesn't really. I'll give you an example. So I had a weave in. I had this conference that we were planning, and I had a weave. And quite honest, like if I'm to be honest, if I was looking at myself, I'd be like, girl, this weave needs a wash. It needs like repress. So even though my hair was with the weave, I was still very cautious about the fact that I knew that it wasn't the best presentation. So I brushed it out the best I could and all of that. So I think my awareness is not so much because I have natural hair. It's just I want to make sure that whatever I'm rocking, whether it's braids, I am, giving it, the best.
But giving
the best.
Completely giving.
There was I went to a meeting once, and it was like I was meeting with the company, and there was like VPs, there were some like senior execs there, and I had to do a presentation of like some stuff about our services. I remember I had my braids in, and I was like, should I have my braids down or up? Like I did, and I literally went to the restroom right before I presented. I was like, okay, which gives more? And at that point, I was just like, well, they'll take what they take. I had it packed. I just didn't want it flying all over the place. So I think it's just about looking presentable, but not letting your hair define. I think there's also something about like not letting your hair define all that you're like. What if you don't have hair? What if you, God forbid, have a disease and you have to cut your hair? Does that mean that you no longer are your person? What if, like in my case, your hair got so detangled, you had to chop it off, There's so many things. Let me give you an example. Last year, I still remember because you can tell I'm still a little salty. I was taking out braids. Now, I don't know what part of my mind was thinking this, but I thought, because these braids have been in for 2 months, the hair must have shrunk under the braids. So I can cut it in the middle to a bob and then take it out so it's easier. Let me tell you, by the time I took out my hair, I said, why is my hair so short? So I said, okay, maybe it's because, it's not washed. And when I went to my stylist, she's like, what happened to your hair? It was a bob. A bob. I was so mad. And let me tell you, my hair, it had taken time to grow. It has, all this, it was long. I have pictures, like my hair was like giving back length once it's like,
I can't, I'm opening my mouth. I didn't.
Hey, I like, sorry, Ghanaians. Hard. Like I was just like, what? So what if something happens, right?
Yeah.
Are you going to not like love all that? So I think our hair it's like, people say your hair is your crown. It's a part of who you are, but it doesn't, I used to be that person that's like, oh my gosh, if I don't have it, I'll panic about my hair and all of that. But I had to come to a place where I'm like, it's just hair.
Yeah.
Just hair.
It's hair, but it's not just hair, right? Like your hair cannot be all that you are.
Yes.
It's a part of you.
Yeah.
Wow. Man, Shile, sorry. Like, me and you have not talked about this hair incident. That's why I was shocked.
Because I'm not proud of myself. I'm not. I'm just like...
My dear, please give yourself grace. Trust me, when I'm tired sometimes, I don't know what I'm doing. So it's something I feel like I could have done too.
Oof.
May we not be tired. Honestly.
So the last braids, I took out braids early in January. I went to the salon. I said, please take it out for me. I'll pay the $20. Take it out for me. Because I had so much fear. I was like, I'm going to cut this hair again. But yeah.
Oh my God, but I'm sure your hair is growing. Like your hair is so beautiful. It looks amazing. And I'm excited to see when your hair like comes out again.
I hope so.
That mid back. It will happen. Like judging from your lifestyle, because I know you eat healthy and you strive to eat healthy. Let me put it that way. And you also take care of yourself. You put in the effort. And these are the part of the things that are important for hair growth. So you're doing the things that you need to do. I'm excited to see when the hair blooms again to that, it will even grow longer.
Speaking of blooming, there's also something, and if I could, I don't even know if this is one of the questions you're going to ask, but I guess I want to touch on the piece of like how we were made to think that the only way to manage our hair was to perm it. Yeah. Like there was no in-betweens. Because again, speaking as someone who that was all I knew, these were some of the fears, like, okay, all right, I go natural. What do I do with my hair? What do I do with my hair? Like you're so apprehensive about what you don't understand, right? Yeah. And I think it took a little bit of understanding to get there, but the versatility of natural hair is out of this world. Outside of what I talked about, where if it's rough, you just need to spray or, brush it out and you'll just get it wet in the shower and then figure something out. Even just things as little as silk presses.
Yes.
Because of course, you don't want to do that like too often, heat damage and all of that. But if you want a straight out look, the perm is not the only response. Like there is such a thing as a silk press. I didn't even know that for years. I do still go to a hairstylist. I actually am not. I wish I could be like Ghanaian and, other people I know who really know how to like figure out the hair. Cause that was also one of my concerns. I don't really know what to do with hair. Like, I'm just like, okay, what am I supposed to? I started braiding. I didn't even know how to braid back in Nigeria. So it was when my sister had her first child, I started practicing braiding with her hair. And so I've learned how to like do, flats with my daughter's hair. 2 years ago, because I didn't want to pay to get her hair braided, I learned from YouTube how to actually do singles. So of course I learned these things, but to be quite honest, yes, the beauty of YouTube. But I didn't know, I'm not really someone who like loves the process of like having to do it 100% by myself. So I still go to a salon. I have and it's really important that if you're going to go to a salon, you want to go to someone who understands the science of natural hair. And it's like I just took a breath. She's like, yes, that is so key. And we'll come to that. But what I was getting at was, I remember one time she's like, oh, you can do a silk press. And I was like, what is that? And so she told me about what it is. I was like, oh my gosh, but I've heard if you flatten your hair, it's going to damage. And she's like, yeah, but that's if you're going to someone who doesn't know what to do and all of that. And she did a silk press for me. And my silk press lasted me, based on like the texture of my hair, because I understand this is not everyone's story. Some people after 2 days, it's back in its natural state. But mine lasted me I could do a silk press that lasts me 4 to 6 weeks.
Wow.
And I'm like, that's as long as my perm would last me. Now, I don't do silk presses back to back. I probably do them once a year or twice at the most, no more than 2 times. But I'm saying that story to say that the more you know about natural hair, the more empowered you would feel to try different things. And you realize that there's no one-stop shop. Like, you don't have to resort to perming. You can do other things. There are other styles. There's, of course, there's braids. Of course, even weaves. I planned a wedding for someone who owns a natural hair weave brand. I didn't even know there was such a thing.
Oh, yeah.
And that was also a thing where some people are like, I don't want to go natural because when I want to do like my Yaki or Malaysian, it's not going to match. And she created this brand that's amazing. And it does like natural hair weave. So I started learning that I could do that if I wanted, and I still wanted a weave look or a curly weave or whatever it is. And so there's so much you can do with your natural hair, so many styles and so many ways. So there's no one size fits all. And that's what we were told. Yeah. But I've come to find that it actually has so much more versatility. You can be looking like a different person every other day of the week with natural hair.
I know, right? And life is always fun when there's different things to do or different options to explore. So I guess that's the beauty about natural hair.
Yeah, even going on vacation. Like, if I go on vacation with my husband and I have permed hair, I'm avoiding the water like it's a plague. Yeah. Like, I'm like, oh no, I can't put my head. I'll just dip my toe, But with my natural hair, my husband and I went to we took a 2-week vacation like 2-3 years ago, and it was amazing. And we went to Europe, went to Santorini. We did all kinds of things. And look at me out here with my natural hair. A black girl will do braids when she's going on vacation. Like, that's the real thing to do. But I think at that point, I don't know what it was. I think I had taken out braids earlier. So I was just like, I didn't want to, do back to back. Yeah. So I just said, you know what? I'm going to grow my natural hair. And I did it. And I could get in water when I wanted. I could do so many different things. And I said, this is the life. I mean, some days I just let it be an afro. And I was, this is liberating
on vacation. Let the hair go on vacation into an afro.
And some days, I'll pull it back and I'm just like, this is amazing. So natural hair, it's the best kept secret. It's the
natural hair is truly empowering, my dear. It is. Man. Okay. So we're going to start rounding things up. What's something you use for your hair that might surprise people?
I don't know if I have a good response to this question because, like I just told you, I'm not that girl. Like, I put regular oil. I put, my regular hair butter. Like, I don't do too much. Yeah. And I think that natural hair affords me the opportunity not to have to do too much, but to still get something decent out of my hair. So I don't do anything. And maybe that might surprise people. Like, oh, you just have this hair and you don't do much. I'm like, no, I just, I do the basic bare minimum. I'm a low maintenance type of person, so I do the bare minimum.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is that going bare minimum or taking the bare minimum approach is actually a good way for you to retain hair. It's the best way for you to retain hair. Yes, it's important to moisturize your hair, take care of it, but not doing too much equates to not manipulating too much. Not manipulating too much results in your ends actually thriving better. So it is a good thing, actually, which I guess that's a surprise there. Okay, if your hair could talk, Shile, what do you think it would say about your journey together?
This is such a powerful question. If my hair could talk, I think my hair would thank me for allowing it to be so many different things. I think my hair would also chastise me for not taking good care of it. I think my hair would ask me if I could be a little bit more kinder and moisturize it a little bit more. But I think my hair will thank me for having good thoughts about it.
Oh, that is such a beautiful response. I love the fact that, like, as human beings, right, we try. There's room for us to be better, but we are really trying, and that's what really matters. So, we live in more liberal, expressive times. What do you think the future holds for how people, especially women, wear their hair?
I think I think more and more people are going to continue to embrace being natural, more Black women. I think at this point now, more of what we see is people loving their hair, loving the ability to have their natural hair. I think because there is more advancement, because there is more information, there's, so much more you can find on YouTube, so much more. Like there was a time where my hair was getting, it was like super dry till where it hurt. Like my scalp was hurting and I couldn't figure out what it was. I spoke to my stylist. She gave me some insight that I was like putting too much oil, which I didn't know was such a thing. Yeah. And it was causing my follicles to like clog up and all that. I said, okay. So there were so many things, but I think even just the empowerment of like the internet, I remember speaking to my sister as well. So I remember just going online and saying, what are the options, and seeing that people are like, oh, try this and try that. So I think because we're more empowered with information, people are embracing it more. And I think it's only going to continue, because I think that with the generation that we are raising other women, young girls who are allowing them embrace their hair, I think I can only see that getting better and better, and helping them have a good relationship with it. Because it's one thing for them to embrace their hair, but even when we realize like, oh, my daughter's finding it, like she finds that process difficult, how can I bring joy into that process for her, where she doesn't connote her natural hair being this negative experience? So also now when my daughter's like, I want to try this style, I'm not like, well, just take what I'm actually allowing her explore, because I want her to see hair as a positive and not as a negative, even though her hair is huge and big and very like luscious. But I think because we're creating more positivity around hair, and I think it's only I can imagine her generation raising children, it's only going to continue to become better. And I love it. Like at the workplace, people wear their hair out a bit more in so many different environments. So I love the positivity, and I think it's only going to continue to impact generations to come.
Wow. Well, Shile, thank you for showing up fully, for sharing so openly, and for reminding us that our hair, just like our stories, is allowed to evolve, to be imperfect, to be ours. To everyone listening, this episode is a love letter to the crowns we were born with. If it made you reflect, smile, or tear up a little, share it. Tell a friend, a sister, a colleague. Let's keep this conversation alive. You can follow Unraveling the Knots on all social media platforms, Instagram and Facebook, and join the movement of women who are choosing to wear their stories with pride. Until next time, keep showing up, keep loving your crown, and keep unraveling.